What if I told you the man who got famous shouting at supercars has quietly built a £45 million empire? And he did it by humiliating the entire British beer industry with a field of barley they didn't even want. 6 years ago, Jeremy Clarkson stood in a shed with 1,000 acres of grain off his own farm, and the most powerful men in British brewing looked at it and said, "No thank you." They thought he was a television presenter playing at farming. They thought he'd lose interest the moment the cameras stopped rolling. They were wrong about almost everything, because what Clarkson did with that rejected barley didn't just prove them wrong, it exposed something the industry had been hiding from the British public for 30 years. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. A television presenter is eating their lunch. And the most humiliating part, it isn't the money. It's that they told him it couldn't be done, and he did it anyway. So let me show you exactly how he pulled it off. So, let me take you back to where it all started. That drafty shed, the summer of 2020. Clarkson has just brought in his first proper harvest of barley off the rocky Cotswolds soil at Diddley Squat. 1,000 acres of it. And the soil, that hard, unforgiving brash that he had spent a whole television series complaining about, had done something unexpected. It had produced unusually high-quality malting barley. The good stuff. The stuff you make beer from. There was just one problem. Nobody wanted it. The big maltsters, the companies that process the grain that the entire British beer industry is built on, were not interested in small batches from a man they assumed was playing at farming for a camera crew. The grain merchants offered him prices that would not have covered his diesel. Caleb, his farm manager, told him straight, "Jeremy, we are going to lose money on every single ton." Now, every sensible farmer in that position writes it off. You take the loss, you mark it down as a tax write-off, you go back to filming the next series. That is the rational move. That is what the system is designed to make you do. Clarkson did the opposite. He looked at a field full of barley that the establishment had rejected, and he decided that if they wouldn't buy his grain, he would turn it into a product they couldn't ignore. He would make the beer himself. And this is the part that matters, because it tells you everything about why what came next worked. He didn't slap his name on someone else's lager. He went to Rick and Emma Keene, who had been quietly running a small lager-focused brewery in the Cotswolds since 2005. 2 decades of genuine brewing knowledge. He bought a stake, he partnered with them, and in 2021, they launched a beer named after a 4,000-year-old standing stone near the farm. Hawkstone. The brewing industry did not panic. Why would they? They had seen this 100 times. A famous face, a celebrity drink, a vanity project that sells for 6 months and then quietly disappears once the novelty wears off. They had a playbook for this. Let it get to a certain size, then buy it, fold it into your distribution, and extract the value. Easy. Except this one didn't follow the script. Within 8 hours of launch, Hawkstone was the #1 selling beer on Amazon in the entire United Kingdom. It was outselling Budweiser. It was outselling Corona. It was outselling Stella Artois. The team had to seriously discuss putting a limit on how many bottles each customer could buy because there was a genuine fear they'd run out of stock before Christmas. And here's where the humiliation really begins. For 30 years, the British beer establishment had sold the public a quiet lie. The lie went like this. Britain can't make good lager. Lager is German, lager is Czech, lager is Danish. We do warm ale and flat bitter, and that's our lot. So the big companies brewed cheap lager in British factories, gave it a foreign-sounding name, and charged premium prices for it. It suited them perfectly, because if British lager couldn't be good, then nobody could challenge them on it. Clarkson looked at that accepted wisdom and ignored it completely, the way he ignores almost everything he's told he can't do. Hawkstone was brewed properly. British barley, British water, a long, slow, cold maturation that takes 4 to 6 weeks when the industry standard is about 9 days. And then the awards started coming. At the 2024 World Beer Awards, Hawkstone Lager was named England's best lager. The people who had called it a celebrity gimmick told themselves it was a fluke. So the next year, in 2025, Hawkstone did it again, and harder. Their IPA won gold and was crowned England's country winner. Their hedgerow cider won gold. The flagship cider won gold at the World Cider Awards too. Across the whole range, medal after medal. Now sit with that for a second, because this is the bit the beer snobs cannot stand. To this day, if you go on the beer forums, on Reddit, on the enthusiast sites, you will find people insisting Hawkstone is overrated, that it tastes like flavoured water, that it is bland, forgettable, a triumph of marketing over substance. And maybe some of them genuinely believe that. But here is the uncomfortable truth they have to live with. While they were typing those reviews, professional international judges, blind tasting against the best in the world, kept handing Hawkstone the top prize in England. You cannot buy that with celebrity exposure. The judges do not know whose barley it is. So the snobs were humiliated on taste. But the real industry, the giants, they do not actually care about medals. They care about distribution. And distribution is where they thought they were untouchable. Here's how the British pub trade really works. The big brewers control which beers get on, which taps through a web of tied houses and exclusivity deals. A small brewery can make the finest lager in the country and still never get a single pump because the taps are spoken for. That wall has kept challengers out for decades. Clarkson's solution was, as usual, completely direct. He turned the beer itself into the reason people walked through the door. Pubs started chalking "We stock Hawkstone" on the boards outside because the millions of people watching Clarkson's farm wanted to drink the beer they'd watched him make. The beer wasn't just another tap, it was footfall. It dragged paying customers in, and the numbers tell you exactly how badly that broke the model. In the middle of 2024, Hawkstone was in around 500 pubs. By the middle of 2025, 2,000. Today, it's pouring in over 4,000 pubs across the country, plus more than 2,000 retail outlets, plus Waitrose, Sainsbury's, Morrison's. A wall that had held for 30 years walked straight through in 3. Now, if you're enjoying watching the establishment get embarrassed in real time, do me a favor and hit that subscribe button and tap the bell, because the next part is where Clarkson stops playing defense and starts genuinely taunting them. Right, the marketing. This is the bit no rival can copy, and they know it, and it drives them mad. Clarkson made a television advert for Hawkstone featuring a choir of actual British farmers singing, in extremely colourful language, about how good the beer is. The Advertising Standards Authority promptly banned it from television, radio and cinema for the swearing. A normal company would see a banned advert as a disaster, a wasted budget. Clarkson saw a gift. He went out and made a second advert, complaining about the first one being banned, and the whole thing was watched by millions of people online, for free, who chose to watch it. The ban was the campaign. You cannot replicate that. Carlsberg cannot produce a banned advert that the public actively seeks out. Heineken cannot put their own face on a show watched in dozens of countries where every tractor breakdown is, quietly, an advertisement for the beer. Hawkstone's marketing budget is essentially the cheapest thing about it, because the marketing is a man with a Twitter account and a point to make. That choir of farmers, by the way, went on Britain's Got Talent in 2026 and won a golden buzzer. The marketing now markets itself. He even started doing the one thing the giants would never bother with. When the British hop industry was collapsing, Clarkson announced Hawkstone would invest millions to try and save it. Because if you've built your entire identity on backing British farming, you can't very well let British farming die. The giants source from wherever is cheapest that month. He sources from a struggling industry on purpose, and then he tells everyone he's doing it, and that honesty becomes the marketing all over again. And then there are the numbers that turn the whole thing from a funny story into a genuine threat. In the year to March 2024, Hawkstone did £7.8 million in sales. The year after, £21.3 million. The year to March, 2026, 44.9 million. That is a company roughly doubling, then doubling again. The Sunday Times has named it one of Britain's fastest-growing companies 3 years running and the fastest-growing company in the entire Southwest. It's now exporting to 10 European countries, and the stated ambition, said out loud on the record, is to put Peroni out of business. Think about how that lands in a boardroom in Brussels or Copenhagen. The premium lager category, the one with the fat margins, the one the giants invented to fleece people who wanted something a bit nicer than Foster's. That is exactly the category a farmer from the Cotswolds is now coming for, by name. But here is the thing the giants finally understood, far too late, and it is the deepest cut of all. They cannot buy their way out of this. Normally, when a challenger gets annoying, you acquire it, fold it in, make the problem disappear. But you cannot do that to Hawkstone, because the brand and the business model are the same object. Take away the British barley, the local sourcing, the farm, the show, the transparency, the man admitting on Twitter that a batch of cider was literally exploding and offering refunds. And what's left? Just another lager. The story isn't the wrapping. The story is the product. There is nothing to extract. So let's go back to that shed in 2020 and the field of barley nobody wanted. What the maltsters got wrong wasn't a pricing decision. It was a failure of imagination. They looked at the grain and saw a small batch from a TV presenter. They couldn't see that the grain was attached to a story, and that in a world drowning in identical industrial products made by people who've never tasted what they make, a story about a real field, a real farmer, and a real failure is worth more than any factory. That's the real reason the beer industry got humiliated. Not because Clarkson is a better brewer than them. He isn't. Rick Keene is the brewer. Not because he had more money. The giants have far more. He humiliated them because he understood the one thing their entire model had trained them to forget. People don't just want a drink. They want to know where it came from, and they want to believe in the person who made it. The giants spent 30 years removing exactly that from their beer to save a few pence a pint. Clarkson put it back, charged a premium for it, and the public paid gladly. Somewhere in a glass tower, an executive is still telling himself it was a fluke, that the novelty will wear off, that this is a celebrity vanity project ticking along. He has been telling himself that for 5 years. The accounts say otherwise. If you enjoyed that, do subscribe and tap the bell, and have a look at the video on your screen right now, which pulls apart another empire I think you'll find just as ridiculous. And tell me below, was the rejected barley the best thing that ever happened to British beer? Thanks, as always, for watching.